So remember what we did back in the day? We had a little wheel of... So there's a corresponding formula, which I never ever want you to use, for a weighted standard deviation. It looks like that. It makes you feel like that. So I don't want you doing that. I am preparing a video, and I'm hopefully going to have it recorded by this weekend to show you why this formula makes sense, although it looks like Latin. But what you're going to do is you're going to use your TI to do it for you. Because I don't want you getting lost. This is a very easy formula to get lost in, and I don't want you getting lost in it. So, we still have to do the same thing, whether we're going to do it by hand or not. We still have to do the same thing. There were 7 people. Thank you. There were 7 people in the top from 15 to 24. But how many of them were 15? How many were 24? How many were 16? Remember this question? This was a question we had 2 weeks ago, yes? So what do we call them all, Riley? We call them the average. We go halfway between 15 and 24, which is... 19? Is that 20.5? 19.5, thank you. 19.5! We say they're all 19 and a half years old. How about between 25 and 34? We say they're all 29 and a half years old. Please write. This is all gonna, that's all going to go in L1. So I'll do it with you guys. I'll do it with you guys. I'll at least get you started setting up. All right. I'm going to do this. I'm going to slap that over there.
So that's what you put in this one. It's 19.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We're going to put 19.5, 29.5, and so forth and so on, all the way down in list 1. Because we lose the precision of knowing exactly how old those people are, yes? We don't know. We don't know of the 44 between 25 and 34. How many were 26? How many were 27? How many were 28? We don't know the answer to that. So we assume that they're all 29 and a half years old. Are we going to be exactly right? Of course not. How off are we going to be? Go ahead, be brave. Ish. I like that. That's good. Somebody said ish. We're going to be off-ish. We are. But remember, if we pick the... Why did we pick the middle value? Do you remember why we picked the middle value? Go ahead, Faith. Because if we underestimate some, we're going to overestimate others, and it washes to the middle. That's the idea. Faith, give me that question.
But really, couldn't we even just pick 20 because it just represents that group?
This is a fantastic question. Why don't you want to pick 20 in this respect? Why don't you want to go with 20? Why do you want to go with 19 and a half? Oh, such a good question, Faith. Let me push this up for a second. This is a great mathematics question. No, you know what's funny? Ron Baldnow, you guys know Ron Baldnow, forestry department, asked me the same question about a year ago. And it's a great question. And he was surprised by the answer. So, let's just look at, what's the first one? It's 15 to 24. Here's a number line. 15, here's 24, right? Let's just go 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, whoops, 22, 3, 4. Okay? So we have voted to go with 19 and a half. Why 19 and a half?
Because it cuts off on both sides evenly.
Because it is exactly in the middle. Well, I didn't draw it that way. But 19 and a half is exactly in the middle of 15 to 24. If you round it to 20, you are then favoring the right side of the interval by a half a year. And you're going to do that for every single interval. Because you're going to take 29 and a half round to the 30, and 39 and a half round to the 40, and your average is therefore going to be rounded up by a half a unit. Which means you were already off-ish. Now you're off-ish plus 0.5. Which is too much ish to be ish.
Couldn't you, okay, so then maybe instead of just rounding, if you just make it like group 1, group 2.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So, because I'm just saying that 19.5, that just represents the first group.
That's why I want to use 19.5 and not round it up to 20. I don't want to lose. As soon as you make it go to one side to round to one side, you've made it asymmetric. And since you've made it asymmetric, you're then favoring one side over the other. Keep it directly in the middle, Faith. It's cool. It's cool to go a half a year. Trinity, what's on your mind? You gotta get a concern too. You sure?
I think what she was getting at is that you could just put, even, you don't even need to do this. If you know how to interpret the data, you can put 1.
Sure, but how do you average? But what is 1?
1 is that group.
But what is the value of that group?
The value is between 15 and 24.
But what number are you going to use to multiply by the frequency? You need, even though, now I love the question, is that what you were saying? Thank you for it, I appreciate that, Scott. You got to remember, friends, you got to remember, even though you're not going to be doing this manually, all these x's right here that are in the calculation are a single x value that you have to stand for that group. And the idea is to pick the single x value that is the least variant from the true whatever the center is. No, I love what you guys are saying. It's great, but you have to pick one. The least error-filled one is the direct middle. Thank you, Scott. I wasn't quite catching that. I apologize, Faith, but thank you for catching that, Scott. Perfect. Cool? Cool. You guys all have your stuff in already? You probably already knew. I've been talking through the whole thing. Let me get caught up with you guys.